Okay, call this Village of Greenhills Council meeting for February 25th, 2025 to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Coulter? Here. Ms. Hudson?
Here.
Ms. Hermes?
Here.
Mr. Lee?
Here.
Mr. Warner?
Here.
Ms. Walker?
Here.
Mayor Moore?
Here. We have a prayer by Maria Walter.
Lord, we ask you to send your spirit of servanthood upon all of us here gathered this evening to do your work for the benefit of all in our community. We ask you to bless our elected and appointed officials so they may deliberate with wisdom and act with courage. Bless the members of our community who comes here to speak before council so they state their cause with honesty and humility. Lord, we ask you to bless us all. Please make sure that all our men and women in uniform, whether abroad in the United States or locally here in Greenhills, go home to their families intact, to their babies or the spouse or the parents. We ask you that everything that we are going to do here tonight will move you to welcome us one day into your kingdom as good and faithful servants. Please, Lord, teach us to be generous, to use so we may understand points of view of other people and listening to others' ideas. And we ask this in the name of our brother Jesus. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and actually before we move on to the next thing here, we're having audio problems with the recording through Waycross tonight, and so these aren't working.
Okay.
And the show isn't going to be broadcast live because nobody will be able to hear sort of what we're saying. So moving on, we have the approval of the minutes of previous meetings, council meeting of December 17, 2024, and the council meeting of January 28, 2025. Stand approved
Mr.
unless
Mayor,
there's a
I would
correction.
like to make a correction in here. I understand that you explained what your position as mayor was here because it was brought up the fact that you have the power of veto, that you have different things. And a few of us council were disappointed that the person that brought that up was not here to hear the response. And I'm repeating in here also that he indicated the form of government at the village is known as weak mayor government, where the mayor has limited powers, and they all described and pursued on the charter of the village. And wanted to make sure that that was on the record. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, public presentation. The fire chief, Tony Spaeth, is not able to be here this evening, but we do have Jennifer Weichert from the Greenhills branch of the public library.
Hello, thanks for letting me come again today. We're busy as always at the library, so we hope that you'll be able to come in and see us soon. If you are waiting to get your library mug for the winter checkout challenge, you have until Friday. We do still have mugs at Greenhills, and I think other branches also have them, so if you've just been holding off on it, do remember to stop in before the end of the day on Friday. You'll also get a chance to be entered for the grand prize drawing, so there will be 12 blankets given away that are from the library to keep you warm and stuff. We also, our app, I don't know if any of you know that we actually have a CHPL app, but some people think that it's still the old red one from Lucy, and we've had a new one for some time, but we do upgrade it occasionally, and the new one has some even better features than usual. So, if anybody has any questions and wants to bring in their phone or tablet to have us help you with that, we would be happy to do that at any point. But it lets you find out when your materials are ready, when your stuff's due, if you have something overdue, if you owe any fines on like replacement fees or anything. If you can search the catalog for stuff, you can find out about events that are happening all across the system, home library, other ones. You can also find out, like browse for new suggestions for audiobooks or for things to read. And it can let you check like different shelves so you can organize your requests so you know, gee, I want to do this one for later, or this one's about this or that, and customize that for you. But with the newest version, you're also going to be able to change out the app's home screen so that you can store the information in the order that you like for it. It gives you access to our library databases. It also gives you blog posts and just all kinds of fun stuff. So it's kind of like a library in your pocket. You can even use it to check out materials while you're at the library. So if there's a long line and you don't feel like waiting at any of our locations, you just pop it open, get your card, scan with your camera, and poof, there you go. But it also lets you have more than one card stored, so you can quickly switch between family members if you're picking up holds for people. It lets you switch between an educator card, a regular card, all kinds of different things. So pretty nifty and some really fun new stuff happening with that. We're also going to be adding a few small pieces of equipment at Greenhills. We're going to be having an electric stapler available and a laminator. So just to kind of support our small businesses and anything else that you can think of for them. But we will have those hopefully starting early next month and be available, as well as, of course, Forest Park has their wonderful makerspace that has a t-shirt printer and a few other things that we don't have room for, sadly, for location. We also are going to be starting a few new programs. We're going to be starting Saturday Stories for families on the first Saturday of the month at 11 a.m. And the first one will be March 1st. We're also going to we have our Youth Drawing Club, which is on Mondays at 4:30. Just come, sketch what you like, if you want a prompt or help with something, but it's meant to hang out and just kind of give you a chance to doodle with other folk and have some fun. We're also starting something called Secret of Spice, which is sort of a combination. It's every month there'll be a different spice. This month is paprika, and we'll have a little sample for you, and we'll have some recipes and some of the benefits and wherefores of where this spice comes from. We're also going to be having a meeting, an in-person one that will be on the first Tuesday of the month at 6:30. So if you'd like to come and talk with other people about some recipes and stuff, please do stop in. If you're not able to and you want to pick up a sample of the spice and some of the materials, we'll have those available as well. And then our usual slate of all the fun stuff, story times and youth drawing, and we're going to have an Oreo tasting for youth because March 6th is National Oreo Day. So Coke flavored Oreos, birthday cake flavored Oreos, cinnamon bun. So I have lots of different flavors. If you have youth that are interested, please feel free to stop on in. That is going to be on Thursday, March 6th at 4:30. There's also Plant a Flower Day for kids on March 12th at 4 p.m. There's going to be a history lecture about Livia, Rome's first empress from UC Classics for adults, and that one is going to be on Wednesday, March 12th at 6:30. Classic Movie Club, Mystery Club, Music to Grow On, Beaded Mobile Craft, Spring Break Bingo on Tuesday, March 25th at 2 p.m. for kids. Build with Duplo, the big ones for the younger kids on Wednesday, March 26th at 11 a.m. And Turtle Talk for kids on Thursday, March 27th at 11 a.m. So if you don't know what you're going to do with your spring break quite yet, the library has lots of fun stuff happening. That is pretty much all I have. Thank you so much.
Jennifer, as always, it's a pleasure to have you here, and it's a wonder of all the things that you do for our community, and to make it seem so simple, seamless, and I really appreciate that.
The library really backs me up, so we're very glad.
If I could add one other thing, I was actually downtown at the main library, and I was surprised at the makerspace there. Full-size industrial strength laser cutting is available to students. They have people there to assist you, and it doesn't matter young or old. But when I looked at the equipment, I was a little bit caught off guard because I didn't expect that kind of quality. You can actually do it looks like you could do quite a bit by visiting their makerspace, and it was pretty impressive.
Each location has their own kind of equipment, and if you go to our website, you can find out what's available at the different branches, and also make a reservation because they also are very popular. So if you need to, plan out ahead of time. But I think like Forest Park has a wood laser cutter as well, and I've heard different people using it. So each one has a lot of different things, but we try to have a lot of things from Ellison machines or button makers to,
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was just a lot going on. There was some lady making buttons and just a lot right at their fingertips. It was really impressive. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have no public hearings. Reports of municipal officials, municipal manager Yvonne Kovac.
Thank you, Mayor. It's been a busy month, as they all are, but wanted to let you know that I've been spending a lot of time on zoning enforcement at the shopping center. The first of the year is business registration time down there, and it's been very difficult getting the businesses to submit their business registrations, but this year was a lot more successful, so we're very excited about that. And I think we have all but maybe 2 of the businesses that are there right now who haven't registered. All the rest of them have, so that's great. And we are, we're getting a real, some real bright spots in our collection of businesses down there. So do take time to check them all out. Fun place, good food, the works. The Moise project, we are continuing to work on a design for that, and one of the first things that we do have to do that we'll be starting shortly, some remediation. There's a small amount of asbestos, it's an old building, so that'll be removed right in like the next 2 weeks, so I wanted to let you know that. Our garbage bed, it's hard to believe it's going to be 5 years already, because we had a rate for 5 years. That was good for 5 years. We're going to start in March with going out to bid for a contract that will then go into effect in March of 2026. They have several consortiums. We were with the first, but others who have done it in the meantime. Rates have gone up. The last 4 years have not been good for, I guess, the garbage industry, or any industry for that matter. So rates, they do expect rates to be higher, but you never know. They also are expecting them to level off, so that might be good for our timing on our bid. So there was one thing I do want to let folks know. We've always had unlimited garbage collection, and they now have a new policy defining unlimited. It's still very generous. This is at any one pickup. There can be 3 large items, 6 regular garbage cans, or 2 95-gallon waste wheelers. So we can keep mentioning that over the course of the year, but just know that is in effect, or will be in effect, with our new contract. We did get the money for the Damon Cromwell Springdale Road project. The agreements and funding won't be in place till probably August, so that's probably a early 2026 construction project for us. I also put at your place copies. We received a large amount of record requests last week. There's 42 different items there. So I'll be working on that. I wanted to mention at, I believe it was the last council meeting, one of the residents had mentioned about how hard it is to hear us. We always thought this was magnifying our voice, which it is not. We have looked into it, and we should have something in place by the next council meeting. So it was also discussed that would we have to be paying for the special the election that's coming up in May for our police levy. I was able to confirm that no, we're not paying for that.
Okay.
So I think that's all I have for now. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
On the garbage issue, there's also a limit on the recycle bins for it, or not? Would they be also at, like you said, 6 garbage cans for the garbage, but is the recycle apart from that, and how many kinds of those are available for that?
It's apart from that, then my guess would be that would be something they would not limit.
Limit,
because
okay.
recycling is
And that
good,
would probably encourage
but that
people
wasn't
to.
part of it. So,
Okay.
Yeah, it
Okay.
could. Yes.
Okay,
absolutely.
thank you.
Good
Okay.
question.
And hopefully they'll have the equipment repaired, which they just discovered was broken, by next council meeting too. So we may have the speaker, and we may have these working again. Okay, Law Director Jeff Forbes.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of quick updates or items for you again. Legislative action at the state level that would have some potential impact on local governments. House Bill 109 has been introduced. This is about, well, it's called short-term rental properties regulation and taxing. It's essentially like for Airbnbs or those sort of Verbo type things. The gist of it is that that is all going to be regulated at the state level, and it limits local authority to be able to regulate those things. And as always, when I talk about bills that have been introduced, it doesn't mean it's the law or that it's even going to end up as the law, but that's at least what it says for now as it's been introduced. And actually, the other item is probably that's even more important to say, because Senate Bill 56 has been introduced, and that proposes to make a number of changes to the new, what I call the new adult use cannabis, recreational marijuana laws. You'll remember that that issue passed at the state level, implemented the entire sort of statutory setup for how that would work, and now Senate Bill 56 proposes to make a number of changes to that. Things as minor as, the number, like, right now it says each individual can grow up to 6 plants, but no household can do more than 12 total. I think they want to change that to just 6 total per household. It has some impact on the maximum THC levels in the products that are being sold. But more importantly, at a local level, when that bill was, when that issue passed, it was set up in a way that there was supposed to be a 10% additional tax on the sales of those products, and that 10% would go to the state and get divided up into a few different buckets. One of which was called the host community bucket, which means if you are a host community of an adult use cannabis operation, some of that tax money would find its way back to the local communities. That has been completely removed from this latest version, and that all the money would go to the state and stay there. That's getting significant pushback. Both from things like the Ohio Municipal League, the Ohio Township Association, just as well as the groups that supported the issue to begin with, because it's very different than the issue that was passed at the, to the electors. So again, that one's even more important to note. That's how it's been introduced. We'll have to see if it gets anywhere. We don't even know if it'll get any traction. For example, the Airbnb one, the last legislature, last General Assembly, they introduced a similar thing. It never made it out of committee. So we'll continue to watch it and see if any of these get any traction and if they are going to have any impact at the local level. So those are the only 2 items I had for you tonight.
Okay, thanks. Any comments or questions?
I was at the meeting of the Ohio Municipal League and it got very hot.
Yeah.
It was very hot. And nothing was mentioned that it was going to be changed or anything, but it was suggested that the parties involved with that negative aspect, that they were not going to be getting anything, that they should go and be present when there will be a comment and the legislature to be done. Second, do you feel that there's more and more less power given to the small governments and more power to the state to legislate?
Absolutely.
That's what I'm thinking, because if they're going to be legislating for the Airbnbs,
Yeah, I mean, there has been a concerted movement over the last number of years.
Yeah.
That to preempt local government
Absolutely.
authority to regulate things, and there have been certain instances where that's been challenged by some, And typically it's by the larger cities in the state because they have the resources to do that. And there have been instances where the courts have agreed and said that is an overreach, that is beyond, or that's in violation of the Home Rule Amendment to the Constitution. But there have also been a number of times where they've said, no, that is within the purview of the state to preempt it. So we just have to continue to watch when they do it, and be aware so that, like the last really big one had to do with municipal income tax. And I think more than 100 communities across the state joined together, filed a lawsuit, and were somewhat successful in getting that sort of fixed to allow that to local authorities. So we just watch them. We find the ones that look like we might have a good shot at challenging, and see if we can get the support to do it.
Is there a list of those powers that were still in our purview that we are sure that we have, or is just depending on the movements of the moon?
I would say it's very difficult for me to tell you which ones we're sure about anymore.
Okay.
Because the ones that I would have said that we were very sure that we had
didn't
local
pay out,
control have, it depends on the General Assembly, it depends on the case that gets to the Supreme Court. We just have to be aware of what the law is and be prepared to make those arguments that it meets the, powers of local self-government, and do our best when those come up.
Thank you.
Taking powers away from us, costing us more money without
Yeah.
sending any more money in. All right, Clerk of Council, Teresa Lawley.
Nothing, Mayor.
Okay. Chief of Police, Jim Howarth.
Thank you, Mayor. This past Sunday, you might have seen on social media that we had our second monthly Building Bridges conversations with young teens. It's kind of spearheaded from Antonio Spicer down at T. Small's barbershop, where he was cutting a lot of hair and talking to clients and stuff, and not really, just kind of heard a lot about not trusting the police and stuff. So we started the program in January after much conversations about how to kick it off. We had a great time in January. This past Sunday, the second time, the encouraging thing was the fact that a lot of them showed back up, plus we had additional new people. So that was encouraging to see them come back. I can only anticipate it being bigger and better as we go throughout the months. Antonio Spicer, I know, has expressed interest in coming to a meeting and talking about the program for a few minutes. So hopefully we'll see him at a future meeting. So we don't have the date set in March yet that we're going to have it, but it'll be towards the end of March. So hopefully we actually might move it away from the barber shop and have it in a local church to give us some more room and stuff. So hopefully it continues to grow like that. So.
Do you know what church you would have it at?
Grace Hills.
Okay.
It's not confirmed yet, but they've opened it up that we can do that there.
Okay.
What church was that?
Grace Hills,
Where is that?
it's right there in the corner,
Oh, that's.
right chair. Yeah, Grace Hills. It changed from Greenhills Baptist.
Okay.
It's now called Grace Hills. Yeah.
Okay.
Second thing is I released the 2024 annual report. Hopefully you got to see it. If not, I encourage anybody, residents, community, go online. It's on our website. I posted it through Facebook. You can also click on it through the monthly newsletter that's posted on the website. Just a couple highlights from it is personnel in transition in 2024 is encouraging. We only had one that we had to replace that went to Springfield Township. So we replaced him in September. So that was encouraging. We also replaced the mayor's court clerk that retired, went into the private sector. So Ron Harris came on board there and is doing a great job. So it was a very nice year as far as transitional, because it does get very costly in replacing police officers that go into different departments for more pay and so forth. By the time you outfit them in uniform, and then the field training program, which is about 12 to 16 weeks, is costly, and their salary and stuff like that. So it's important that we recruit and retain those officers and keep them here. It saves us financially a lot. A Couple other things as far as the annual report I'll just mention is 2024, we had 201 criminal offense reports that we took and reported to the state of Ohio. This is up from the 139 that we reported in 2023. What's really driven that is aggravated assaults and domestic violence increased during the year compared to 2003 or 2023. So that's the majority of them. We also did have a little crime spree that we had some graffiti go on in July. Our July numbers were kind of probably doubled compared to 2023. And that's just the different offenses from that graffiti and stuff like that. So that drove a lot of the numbers being up. 27.4% of the 201 criminal offense reports were assault related. 20.4% of the 2001 criminal offenses were theft or larceny related. So some thefts went up, theft from vehicles, some went down, theft from buildings. Auto theft, where the actual whole vehicle was stolen, went down from 7 in 2023 to 3 in 2024, so that's all decreased. So there was an influx in 20% of the 2001, or the 201 criminal offense reports were theft related. Property crimes in 2024 were virtually the same as in 2023. There was an increase of 2, so they were virtually the same. We took 80 auto accident reports during the calendar year. Majority of them naturally were Winton Road related, either intersections or somewhere on Winton Road. We arrested 14 for operating the vehicles impaired, either under the influence of alcohol and or drugs. This was down from 17, so down 3 from 2023. So any questions on the 2024 annual report? January statistics, we took 19 criminal offense reports during the month of January. This is down, so we're starting the year off pretty good. This is down from the 25 taken in January of 2023, so that's good to see. We made 7 arrests for criminal offenses, and then we made 14 arrests, for warrant citations. Basically wanted people that had warrants out for their arrest. We responded to 214 incidents, of which 38 were squad runs, 14 parking complaints, 10 trouble and suspicious person runs. We assisted mutual aid from our neighboring agencies 16 times. We made 16 domestic runs, which there was domestic trouble, and out of those 6, 5 were arrested for domestic violence. We issued 60 citations. We issued 17 warnings, not 17, 78 warnings issued. We investigated 3 auto accident reports. One I reported last time in January was a serious one that Hamilton County came out and investigated. Looked life-threatening at the scene. I'm happy to report the individual's back home, facing criminal charges, but back home, survived the incident and is healed. So that's good to know. So that's all I have, Mayor, unless you have any questions.
Okay. All right, moving on.
Thank you.
My report, court receipts for the month of January. The ending bank balance was $31,453.59. Checks to be issued, State of Ohio, $675. Hamilton County, $27. And the Village of Greenhills, $2,894. And that's all I have.
I have a question.
Mhm.
The emails food that we used to have, has that been corrected?
No, we've shut that down,
Great,
right?
that's correct.
And we're working to try to maybe get a whole new system.
Great.
Not
Our
quick.
emails work. If you have our emails, they work. But if you were trying to go through the website,
Then you can.
and they've been taken down now, so people can't try.
We can't do
and
that, but if our constituents want to get a hold of us, they can email us still
Correct.
to that email address.
Right.
Okay.
And can they still see what the email address is on the website? It's just not a hyperlink?
There's nothing.
No, it's
There's
not listed
nothing
there
there.
anymore. No.
Where would they be able to find it
Well,
then?
they can call the office. I can print them on the front,
Okay,
if somebody wants to, but
maybe if we could print them and then maybe especially like hang them up on the businesses, just like as an announcement or something in the library.
Couldn't we just go ahead and have a little blurb on the website that says, here's our circumstances, and
Great.
if you need to get a hold of somebody, list our.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
I think that would be best.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay, all right. Reports of committees, community development, Jim Bonner.
Thank you, Mayor. The committee met last Tuesday, February 18th, to discuss America 250 celebration planning. In 2026, the U.S. will be celebrating its 250th anniversary, and there's a state grant program that's soliciting ideas from the communities for different ways of recognizing the anniversary of the founding of the U.S. With a spin of local community, recognition, and how we all kind of fit together as a country. Anyway, the municipal manager submitted a grant request with the intention to create a Veterans Memorial Walk in Town Park. So we're supposed to be hearing from the state granting committee the end of this month, I think, is what you were saying. So more to come on what that looks like once we have the full picture of available funds. That's all I got.
Can you announce when the next meeting is going to be?
Oh, yes, the next meeting will be the third Tuesday of March at 4:30 p.m.
What's that date?
And perhaps Jennifer can be of assistance to find some things for us to research.
The calendar for March is on the back. Teresa has it.
I'm sorry,
March 18th.
It's
March
the
18th.
third Tuesday, Thursday, whatever it was.
the
Okay.
18th.
March 18th.
March 18th, right?
March 18th. Okay.
Yes, March 18th.
Finance and audit, Jack Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, at your place tonight, as promised at the January meeting, or the general fund recap for both the months of December and January. As you remember, we had to hold off due to the state auditing process to accomplish this or release these. So the December recap, the general fund balance at the end of December was $2,651,144.25. In January, the income tax showed a healthy increase over year to year for the month of January, which we were happy for, as there was no real estate tax coming in for that month at this point. I'm assuming it'll show up
In March.
in March, yeah. Overall, the general fund balance in January was very similar to the end of December, at $2,636,659.93. We will be voting on some of the normal beginning of the year transfers from the general fund to special accounts later in the meeting. So, unless you have any questions, that's the end of my report.
Okay, any questions? Recreation, cable television, Rachel Hudson.
I'm gonna skip safety this time.
Oh, good.
Oh, this is the second time I've missed you. Go ahead, Rachel, and then we'll go back to you. Oh, all right.
Thank you. The safety committee met today at 4:30. Chief Tony Spaeth gave us an update on the department transformation since the levy had passed. There's a lot to do, and they're very methodical about what they're doing. Procedure update, they have to have payroll service, and a lot of things have to be in place. So it was good to hear how that's progressing. Also, one of the things that was brought to our attention is the emergency lights on Winton Road have not been working. He's contacted the company, I don't remember the name.
Alex.
Alex, to make sure that that is fixed. Whether they're working or not, we have to always be aware that we have police and fire up here, and when you hear sirens, we'll pull aside and let them through. But it looks like they apologized and said that they're gonna be getting on that and fixing that light system that relies on old technology and new technology, so that's always a unique mix. We also discussed emergency procedure protocol. Still like the idea of putting together a summary of what residents, phone numbers that residents could maybe put on a refrigerator sticker or something like that, so they know immediately who to contact concerning what, if there's an issue in the village. One of the things that came up, and there's just no doubt about it, no matter where we are in this country, there's always limited resources. And ready.gov is a good place to start for residents to make sure that they're individually prepared for anything that could come up. I think we all have to do our part as we try to have successful communities. So make sure you check that out if you have not already. Police Chief Hallworth gave us an update. We did talk about, it is, and I'm glad you brought that up, it is very expensive to replace personnel. We want to stay competitive. We're doing everything we can as a small entity compared to some very large entities around us. So the whole idea of the police levy is it's a very valuable asset that we want to retain and support. And we looked over, just all the responsible things that the department is doing. Being CALIA certified is one of those things that really separates us from many, many departments. And what that entails, I think there could be, is there more information on the website about CALIA?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you want to know more, you could always check out the police department's, is it Facebook or website?
Website.
Website page.
Yep.
But that concludes my report. Thanks for letting me.
Any comments or questions on it? All right, very good. Sorry, I'll to make a big star by that next meeting. Recreation Cable TV, Rachel Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We haven't had a meeting, haven't really had anything new recently, but I did have an announcement from Waycross, and that is that several of the Waycross Community Programming Board trustees from Greenhills will complete their current terms on March 31st of this year. So appointments for Rob Howe and Rachel Hudson, myself, need to be renewed. Also, Dana Gagnon, Executive Director, who's also outside, has nominated Chris Knight to fill the position vacated by the retirement of Galena Radford. These 3 new terms will be from April 1, 2025 throughout March 31st of 2028. And finally, a new chairperson of the board must be appointed. The Community Programming Board made a recommendation that Diana Herbie be appointed chairperson, and Dana would like, or I would like to ask for council's agreement with that recommendation. And therefore, we need a motion.
We'll do that.
New business.
At new business, okay. Mark that down, please. Thank you.
All right.
That's it.
All right. Okay. All right, moving on, Service and Streets, Melanie Hermans.
We also met today at about 5:20 p.m. We did talk about some old business in Grimm and Farragut project. Duke is putting in the new gas lines, and catch basins and grindings look like it will probably start around April, weather permitting. If it ever becomes consistent weather, that would be a nice change of pace. Tree assessments were included in the first tax bill of 2025. We have not received the money yet, but we should be receiving them with the first monies from the county. We did receive a CDBG grant towards the town park pathway. We'll use that along with recreation money for the path at the old park, or old golf course, the new park, and that should go out to bid and construction this year. We're starting with a sidewalk plan for 2025. We have new proposals, and hopefully we'll have a plan in place mid-year. Spring leaf collection will be April 7th through 11th. Just as a reminder, when that happens, get your leaves out at the beginning, because they'll only make one pass on your street, and they can't guarantee which day of the week they'll be on your street. We're also looking at the sidewalk, tree trimming for walking, and they're having discussions, ongoing discussions with the state forester. We did talk new business, spring upkeep for the parks. Also again, once a sustained spring weather, has arrived, that will be something that will be, started with mulching and other upkeep for the parks. And then we are still taking applications for the service worker position. And that concludes my report.
All right.
Could you repeat that applications you're taking?
For the public works, service worker position for an employee.
Okay, thank you.
Intergovernmental Affairs, Laws and Rules, Maria Walther.
We tried to meet, but we couldn't because it was not announced before we had the meeting, so we have to leave.
All right. Okay, this is an opportunity for residents and non-residents to make comments solely regarding legislation that's on the current agenda. Non-residents must obtain prior permission. Please, when recognized, please come forward to the podium, complete the sign-in sheet, verbally indicate if you're a resident of Greenhills or a non-resident, then state your comments. Comments will be limited to 4 minutes.
And we do have a bell now to ring at 3 minutes, so you know you have 1 minute left.
Terrific, thank you, I appreciate that. That way you don't have to move the gizmo. Hello, my name is Patty Anvon. I am a resident of the village at 32 Chalmers Lane in the National Historic District that has been partially destroyed by tear downs. I am a candidate for the council seat for next year.
This is a time to comment.
I'm introducing myself, sir.
Oh, okay,
Thank you for keeping decorum.
right. Tried to
My
just keep you in
comment-
line.
Pardon me?
Just trying to keep you in line so that you're addressing what we're talking
I'm
about.
introducing myself, sir.
Okay,
Okay, my question is, I guess part of what Mr. Lee said was that there was a delay in processing your numbers for the end of the year, if I understood it correctly, because of state audit. But it's my understanding that you had an independent audit.
wait, this is the only time for you to comment is on this
We're
particular
talking
piece of
about the
legislation.
We're talking about the appropriations and the money.
We're talking about this piece of legislation.
Right.
All right, so talk about this piece of legislation.
Would you please try to keep
Yes.
decorum, Mr. Moore?
We can answer your question if you would like.
Okay, if I'd be allowed to speak, I'd be
Go,
happy to.
go
address
ahead.
it.
Well,
Okay.
you're too busy introducing yourself as a candidate for council, so I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Jack, have you been recognized by the chair? Do you understand Robert's rules? Let's get to the meat of the thing here, is that we've got 4 different items here that you're shuffling money on to the tune of $700,000. And I guess my question is, what happened between December and February that this much money had to be shuffled around? Is there something that you can explain on each one of these that you needed?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you recall in December when we passed this year's appropriation for 2025, certain dollar amounts were identified to be transferred. That's what's happening with these. This money that was identified to be transferred upon passage of this will be transferred to these accounts.
Okay, so this is not a new development?
Correct. No,
This
it's
was
not.
already scheduled? Okay,
Yes.
That's
Yes.
the gist of what I'm
Okay,
trying to get clear. I appreciate
Okay.
your decorum.
okay. You've got before us resolution number 2025-R02-F, making supplemental appropriations and transfers. Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution 2025-R02-F, resolution making supplemental appropriations and transfers. Whereas the 2025 annual appropriations that were adopted on December 17, 2024 are to be amended. And whereas the appropriations must not exceed the total available resources of the village per Ohio Revised Code 5705.36A5. Therefore, an amended certificate of estimated resources has been requested from the County Budget Commission. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio, Section 1, that certain actions are needed in monies appropriated so to permit the Village of Greenhills to meet its fiscal obligations for the year 2025. The following items of expenditures are to supplement the appropriations for expenditure for the year 2025. Fund description, none. Appropriation, none. Change, none. Section 2, that the following transfers of funds are being made for previous appropriated monies from General Fund 1000 to Police, account number 2901, in the amount of $530,000. From General Fund 1000 to Swimming Pool, account number 2909, the amount of $140,000. General Fund 1000, Banquet Hall, account number 2910, in the amount of $25,000. From the General Fund 1000, Accumulated Sick Leave, account number 2911, $5,000. Section 3, that this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after the earliest date allowed by law. Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments or questions?
I have a question. The sick leave, when it says accumulated, is that accumulated throughout the year, the 2024, or is that just to like
It's just a
pad it, a
title
heading
of
of?
the fund.
Okay,
It's the title of the fund.
okay.
Okay. Clerk, poll the council.
Mr. Warner,
Aye.
Ms. Wather,
Aye.
Ms. Hudson,
Ah,
Ms. Hermes,
Aye.
Mr. Coulter,
Aye.
Mr. Lee.
Aye.
Okay, resolution number 2025-R02-F passes. On that- Yeah, and
Rachel,
yes.
did you want to make your?
make your motion.
Yes, I move to make a motion for reappointing Rob Howe and Rachel Hudson, myself, and appointing Chris Knight to fill a vacant position, and approving Diana Herby as chairperson of the Waycross Community Programming Board.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Do I, Mr. Attorney, do we do roll call, or we just do all those in favor?
You can do all in favor unless you.
Okay, all those in favor,
Sure.
say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay. Do we have any council comments that anybody wants to make before we do the calendar? Okay. All right, anything on the calendar other than the meeting on the 18th?
I think I'm gonna go, plan it for tomorrow on March 12th, because that's my birthday. I'll bring Rosie so I can use her as my child. That's it.
Okay,
Some stuff in March. for
Yes,
committees.
March 4th, community development at 4:30. Right, is that right?
March
You just
18th.
said March 18th. Oh, you changed it because you were open.
okay.
Are we gonna have law then on the 18th as well?
I'm sorry.
Law committee meeting also on the 18th.
Also,
I have to confirm if I can be present on that,
okay.
because I have not been able to confirm that. So I have to get back on that.
Okay.
Okay. All right, this is the time for citizens to comment on matters before council. When recognized, please come forward to the podium, complete the sign-in sheet, verbally indicate if you're a resident or a non-resident, and state your comments. If you have questions, the questions will be recorded. Well, tonight they may not be. Questions will be noted and referred to the manager's office for a response. This will allow time for thoughtful and thorough consideration to be given to each question. Council meetings are recorded for ease of transcriptions. Comments are limited to 4 minutes. Speakers may not yield any or all of their time to other speakers.
Monique Mason-Halter, Greenhills resident. Tonight, I've provided you with a copy of a broadcast news story that aired on February 18th. Before I start reading excerpts from it, I'd like to thank council members again for passing a protective ordinance to regulate small cell tower deployment here, and also writing a letter to the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, to ask that the agency comply with the 2021 court order to address scientific evidence related to the health and environmental impacts of RF wireless radiation. 10 Ohio state lawmakers have also written to the FCC, including the lawmakers who represent us here. So, from Local 12, local neighborhood fights cell tower proposal, encourages other communities to do the same. Residents of a Hamilton Township neighborhood successfully blocked the construction of a proposed 200-foot cell tower and now want to let other communities know they can fight such projects as well. The community's victory came after a concerted effort to rally against the plan, which they feared would disrupt the area's aesthetic and potentially impact the environment, health, and property values. Shortly before Christmas, only landowners adjacent to the proposed site received letters notifying them of the plan, which is required by law. The letters were sent just 10 days before a zoning board meeting where the proposal would be discussed. The group gained a reprieve in January when it was discovered that the company hadn't fully completed its application, delaying the final decision by a month. This provided additional time for the residents to gather information, rally more neighbors, and create a petition and presentation for the Township Zoning Board. Those board members voted unanimously to reject the application. Residents now hope to inspire other communities to challenge similar projects. They also plan to advocate for updated FCC regulations regarding radiation around cell phone towers, which they say have not been revised since the 1990s. They credited the Hamilton Township Zoning Department for guiding them through the process, but are also watching carefully to see if the company tries again with a different property either in Hamilton or adjacent Salem Township. Now, over the past several months, I have spoken at these meetings about federal bills being rushed through that eliminate municipal authority over the deployment of wireless infrastructure. If you want to keep municipal authority over this installation, it's important that you contact the federal lawmakers immediately to let them know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I've already signed in. My name is Patty Anton. I've been a resident of Greenhills for decades, and I've been monitoring this council for decades as well. You would seem to be twiddling your thumbs a little bit about how you were going to put emails on a website. How about just going back to, here's the council person's name, here's their email, and just direct. That's what it used to be. You weren't trying to filter it through some kind of a thing. That's basically how every other community that I've been surveyed does. So that's a simple fix. Did council get around to adopting the rules of council for this year? Because they're supposed to, by the charter, do it at the first meeting of the year. And they're supposed to be appointing your pro tem and your officers. And I didn't see that anywhere in your minutes, so I guess you're not abiding by the charter. It seems to me that the Waycross board members, since that's our link to communication, should not be just shuffled out willy-nilly to friends and family. Because Mr. Moore, we all know that your wife has been on that board for years. And it's about time we get, right, it's about time we get some new blood. So appointing Chris Knight and some of these other fuddy-duddies really doesn't serve the public. And it's kind of an insult to think that you would put new people in council seats without holding any kind of interviews or letting the public know that those seats are available. Because we've got a lot of talented people in this community, but you don't seem to reach out to them. I will send email to Yvonne that I got from the Board of Elections that listed at least 4 different instances of charges that were made to the village for putting things on the ballot. So what you said earlier is not accurate. It may be that you don't pay anything as you file, but because there's a formula that goes by, and it's all laid out in this email, so I'd like to enlighten you, and I'll let the finance director know about that as well. Robert's rules. It seems like I've been reading through the charter and I've been reading through your rules on council, and there's a lot of discrepancies in how you operate and what the council or what these documents are calling for. Now, you wanted to raise an issue about what the form of government is for Greenhills. Now, if you just go to your own website, it says very clearly, form of government is mayor, council, manager. If you look at the charter says the form of government under 1.03 is mayor, council, manager. So you guys ought to get your little ducks in a row to understand what kind of a form of government you've got. Now I'll read to you a little bit about what's been published on the differences in those different types of governments, because there seems to be like 2 different forms that the state recognizes. One is the form of a strong mayor, and it seems to me that the way the council, or whoever it was that rewrote our charter, they shuffle things around to say that there's not a veto power. Just like in your council rules, it's kind of jumbled around, but then they say, well, if all else fails, we go by Robert's rules. And I think you guys need to get to where you have your act together to be following the charter and following the council rules. That's what you're getting paid for, so do your jobs. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none.
I looked up the definition of fuddy-duddy because I've never been referred to as that before. And it says it's a term for a person who is fussy while old-fashioned, traditionalist, conformist, or conservative, sometimes almost to the point of eccentricity or geekiness. It is a slang term, mildly derogatory, but sometimes affectionate too, and can be used to describe someone with a zealous focus on order. So just in case anybody else was curious on that word.
All right, meeting adjourned.